Day 1138. Whew. Going outside, getting some fresh air. I was on stage. I was supposed to be on there for 40 minutes. I think I was on there for like an hour. The auction took so long, but I went up there and started with my mom's testimony. It was so powerful. Like, people were on the edge of their seat, just listening to her testimony and seeing the pictures. And then I had her come up on stage. She didn't know I was going to call her up on stage because I wanted the people to see the after, right? The after in person to really see the demonstration, the power of God. And yeah, it was awesome. I teared up. And then one of the people in the audience was like, "Can we pray for your mom?" So we surrounded her and we prayed for her, like corporate prayer. And it was awesome. Then I started the auction. Oh my gosh, I'll never do an auction again. That is so exhausting. And we had so many things to auction off. It took so long. But I was just being myself and being funny and doing whatever. And then I didn't really get to, at the end, because we ran out of time, I was going to talk about my coaching a lot more. And we literally didn't have time, so I could only go over one slide. And so, yeah, and then went back down, sat at one of the tables, and one of the guys who's an influencer, we ended up talking for about an hour, and just talking about God and the power of the Word. And I was, going over some of the Warriors of God verses that we're studying and just showing him like what it really means and the power of that. And we were just having a great conversation. He was telling me his testimony, and it was just awesome, really exciting, really hopeful. And yeah, it was great. It was perfect. Oh, and then when we were on stage, I was getting ready to get off, and the two founders of this, they're like, "Oh no, we still have the last part, remember?" And I was like, "Oh," not knowing what the last part was. And the last part is they were going to ask for donations, and because they're launching the university in a year. Yeah, right around a year and a few months. And that is what they're raising the money for, to create a university that teaches people how to build a business in alignment with Jesus and the Bible. And so they started talking about it. They're like, "Okay, so we're going to start at 5,000. We're going to go down. So who wants to give 5,000? And one guy, like the guy who owns the building, raised his hand. And then she said, "Okay, 3,000. And then no one did anything. And then 2,000, and no one did anything. And it started to kind of feel a little uncomfortable. And I was like, she's like, "You can pledge it. Like, you don't have to pay it now. You can, pay it next year, or, break it down into payments. Like, you could just pledge even if you don't have it now." And I remembered yesterday on the car, they had those cards in front of us, and I filled one out. And I remember in that moment, God asked me, "What are you going to do with the money I give you?" And so I looked at that card, and I was like, "Lord, I'm going to give it back to your kingdom." And I put $10,000 on that as a pledge. And I was like, "Okay, Lord, I don't have $10,000. I don't even have $1,000. But I trust that if I commit to funding your kingdom and building your kingdom and taking the money that you bless me with to fund your house, your kingdom, your vision, then I know that you'll show up." So yesterday I filled out the card and I put 10,000 for next year, and was just like, okay. And so I remembered that when she said that, and she's, I could tell it's just getting a little uncomfortable because no one's raising their hand, and it seemed like she was kind of getting a little discouraged. And I interrupted her. I was like, "Wait, are you doing the thing with those cards that we filled out yesterday?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I wasn't sure if I was going to say this because I was like, "Lord, I don't want to look prideful or anything to be like, oh yeah, I committed 10,000, or I didn't want it." So I wrestled with it for 30 or 45 seconds while she was doing it and talking. And I was like, I don't know, Lord, I don't want this to come from a wrong place or be taken the wrong way, by saying that, because Lord knows I don't have it, but I'm committed to it. And then eventually it was like, I feel like the Lord just gave me the go ahead. And so I was like, "Oh, that card." I was like, "Oh, I filled one out, but I did 10,000. And she said, and her business partner standing next to her, and both their eyes filled with tears. And they were shocked because they started at 5,000 and then went down to 4 and 3 and 2. And I was just like, yeah, I did that yesterday. I just didn't know that this is what we were doing. And all of a sudden, God just like gives me a word, and I just literally step forward and I start preaching. Like, for some of you right now, this is what's going to break the bondage of poverty and the bondage of lack, because some of you might commit to it and you don't have the money for it. But what you're doing is you're betting on God. You're betting that he's going to show up, that if you commit to it, even if you don't have it, that in the next year, God is going to bless you with it because you trusted him. And I start preaching this, right? I start preaching this. And remember, only one person gave 5,000 and then no one else was like giving anything. It got weird. And so I start preaching that, and a lady raises her hand and she says, I'll match your 10,000. And she gives 10,000. And then we're talking a little bit more. And then another one raises their hand. She says, I'll match the 10,000. And $30,000, just like that. And then someone else gave 5,000. Someone I think gave 2,000. And then a ton of people gave 100. And they went back. We all went back to the green room, and they were just in tears. They were blown away. They were shocked. It was just like, I was like, God, you're so good, Lord. Thank you for using me, because I almost didn't say anything. Because I didn't want to look prideful or try to seem like I was boastful, because I don't have the money, but I'm committed to it, and I can commit to it. I can pledge it. That's what it is. It's a pledge. And I'm like, Lord, thank you so much, because had I not said anything, that's $20,000 that they would have missed out on. And that's 2 other people's massive breakthrough financially and their commitment to the Lord. And I was just like, wow, God, thank you for using me. And I actually stood there and I told them, like, I pointed to the 2 founders and I just spoke life into them with everyone in the audience. That's when the second person gave their money, because I was just like, these women, like, I've known one of them for a decent amount of time and just met the other one. But I, as a new believer, I pay attention to people, because there's how they are online, or how they are on social media, or how they are on stage, and then there's how they are off stage. And I've been really disappointed about how people are off stage. And so I said, I'm always listening. So since I've been here, I've been listening. When they have conversations, what do they say? And I told them, what these women talk about, what they say, what I hear all the time is the Lord this, the Lord that, God this, God that, Jesus this, Jesus that. And they're the real deal. They're the real deal. And these are women of God. These are daughters of God, and they're committed to building his kingdom. And so not only are we supporting God, but we're supporting them. And then after I said that, a lady raised her hand, and that's when the second lady said, I'll match your 10,000. And it was just like, wow. And the 2 founders walked away in tears. We all hugged at the end. And it was just, man, it was so inspiring to see so much. They were just in awe. They were in awe of how good God is. And it's so crazy, because we did a call like 5 weeks ago, and they were like, we don't know if we're going to get the money to be able to even afford to do the event. We're $30,000 short. And to see them go from that to just God showing how good he is, and how faithful he is, and how loyal he is. And I feel so blessed that he used me as an instrument. It was incredible. It was nothing that I expected, but everything better. Like, it was so much better than anything I could have expected. So, man, I like this outfit that I'm wearing. I don't know if you can see the reflection. The blue coat, the black, the jeans, the white shoes. I like it. So, yeah. Also, I don't know if anyone's in that room, because I just did that. I probably look like an idiot because I can't see in because it's a mirror, but they can see out. Whatever. So, yeah, it was a beautiful experience. And I'm very proud of myself, because I glorified God. I brought up that picture of Jesus with his 50 different names and read it in front of everyone. I really honored God, and I glorified him, and that's what I'm most proud of. Like, I know I made him proud. Yeah, I know that. He was at the forefront. He was at the center of everything that I said. And yesterday he talked to me about stewarding the stage. Like, if he gives me a stage, can he trust me with it? And today I just showed him, you can absolutely trust me with the stage, Lord, because I'm going to glorify you. And my heart and soul was in it. So, yeah, incredible.